Good.
Good morning, everyone. We will start in 5 minutes. Good morning, everyone. We will start in 5 minutes. Good morning, everyone. We will start in 5 minutes. We will start in 5 minutes. Thank you.
I tried to do it on the mic. It didn't work.
Good morning, everyone. We will start in 5 minutes. Okay. Yeah. For now. Yeah. People can.
Test. Good morning, everyone. We will start in 5 minutes.
We're going to go ahead and get started here in just a second as soon as Crystal sits down. Okay, good morning. Welcome to Fall 2026 Convocation, Texas A&M University, Central Texas. We have some distinguished guests with us today, which you'll hear about here in just a little bit, but we have a full agenda, as you might imagine. Going to try and get through that fairly quickly. So glad to see everyone here today. Who's driving the slides? You? Okay. Here's our schedule for today. We're going to run through some academic and student affairs updates, introduce some new faculty and staff, and then Todd Lutz will give us some update on facilities and other issues from finance and administration. And then our keynote speaker for this morning, Commissioner Wynn Rosser. So happy to have him here with us as well. All right, we're going to go ahead. Start with our new faculty members. Dr. Mikhail Kulevtsev. I know Mikhail is here. There he is, our new Dean of the College of Business. So happy to have him on board. Dr. Kristen Alecki, Assistant Professor in Social Work. Is Kristen here? I don't think she is. Okay. All right. Next, Melinda Welch. She's an Associate Lecturer in Marketing. Melinda here? Not here either. They're all preparing their lectures. Or listening in. Or listening in. They could. That's right. We have some folks in participating virtually. Next is Scott Thompson, new Assistant Lecturer in Aviation Science. Is Scott here? He's not here. Okay. We're 1 for 4. Next, Kristen Gustafson, Assistant Professor in Sociology. No? 1 for 5. Marla Curtis, Assistant Professor in Clinical Mental Health. There's Marla, yay! Chris Poole, who I think is returning with it to us as a visiting assistant professor in exercise physiology. There's Chris. And similarly, Stephen Maddox, coming back as an assistant professor in C&I. There's Stephen at the back of the room. Now we'll turn to our new staff members, and some of these you may think they've been here for a while already. This goes all the way back to last fall, as I understand it. So Dr. John Howe, our Dean of Students, is still with us. Here's Dr. John Howe. As the military talent pipeline gets its sea legs under it and moves forward, we've added some additional staff in that area. That includes 2 folks who are going to serve as course instructors for some continuing education program we're doing for 3 Corps. Jeffrey Thompson. Jeffrey's here, I think. There is Jeffrey. And Jeremy Jerome Graham. Is Jeremy here? There's Jeremy. All right. Also, Administrative Associate 3, John David Cardenas. He's probably in his office, answering the phones. David Balding, Administrative Associate 4. There's David. The newest face in the Office of University Relations, Ms. Aisha Trainum, Administrative Coordinator there. One of our new advisors, Lisa Moore, Career Advisor 1. She's not here. Okay. She should be advising someone, I suspect. Catherine Emanuel, an Enrollment Services Advisor. There's Catherine. Brenda K. Maxwell, Enrollment Services. Going on, we've got Leonore Maglente Cannon. I probably butchered that. Is she here? She's not here to hear me mess that up. Okay, that's good. Alexis Strong, Financial Assistant 2. And another individual who's participating in the Military Talent Pipeline, Gabriel Javier Ramirez, the Grant Administrator. There's Gabe. One of our new graphic designers, Kiara Camacho. Kiara. Leah Darlene Miller, an instructional consultant, P13. Garrison T. McGee, police officer. No police in the room. Okay, we can get away with anything we want now. No police in the room. Nadine Tochi, program specialist. and affectionately known as AI Hannah, Hannah Beth Davis Ketterman. She's not able to be here with us today, but she has joined our staff as well. Let's give a round of applause for all these new faculty and staff. I guess you're instinctively keeping up with me over there. Great. Now, this being the fall convocation, we focus on our faculty accomplishments and achievements, and so we've got a number of individuals who successfully completed the tenure and associated promotion process this past year. I want to call out each of those, and when I call your name, I want you to stand up, wave, holler, whatever sounds good to you. Dr. Heather Caldwell in curriculum instruction. There's Heather. Dr. Malin Lilly in psychology. If you ever want to know anything about whales, Dr. Lilly is the one. She will clue you in. We all remember Flipper, but that's not a whale. But it's close, right? Dr. Ankita Singhvi. Is Dr. Singhvi here this morning? There she is. And you'll hear more from her later, but Dr. Madeline Schell in psychology. I know Madeline's here. I had one individual who was promoted to the rank of associate professor in exercise physiology, Yulun Tai. I know Yulun is here. There he is. And now we come to some folks that received promotions starting this fall. These individuals all moved up to the highest possible rank for their particular type of position. We're very excited about that. That's a singular achievement in their academic career. And so, continuing tradition we started last year, we have a special gift for each one of these individuals as they come up. So we're going to ask them to come up. We won't ask them to speak, just come up and genuflect or something. This is a blown up image of what they're getting. It's a crystal clock. And we've left up this picture from Dr. Swegler's, and I'm going to embarrass Dr. Swegler and ask her to stand up for a minute because she's actually here on our campus today. Alabama's loss is our gain for today anyway. Glad to have you here on campus. So she got hers last year, and now we're going to run down through these, and with my helpful assistant here, Dr. Cood, Dr. Brad Allman rises to the rank of full professor. Any port in a storm, Brad. Congratulations.
Thanks, appreciate it.
And next, Miss Tammy Bracewell in criminal justice. There you go, Tammy. Congratulations. Thank you. And we've got Dr. Amber Denai in English. Heavy, don't drop it. You have to come all the way up to get it. Congratulations, Amy. And now we go to Library Row for this next one. Ms. Dawn Harris is a senior librarian. Come on up, Dawn.
All right.
Congratulations. Welcome. Next, Taylor Harvey, Mechanical Engineering Technology.
Thank you.
Our next full professor, Dr. Christine Jones in Anthropology. We should have put this out in the forensic area and made her dig for it and find it.
To make me find it.
That's right. Congratulations,
Thank you.
Christine. Next, Dr. Morgan Lewing in Educational Administration. There's Morgan. Congratulations, Morgan. And we have a faculty member who's risen to the rank of senior lecturer in COBA in the management area, Angela Patrick. Congratulations, Angela. There we go. And And next, we have a new full professor, Dr. Meany Roberts, in mathematics. Congratulations, Meany. There you go. Two more. Dr. Madeline Schell, in psychology, new full professor. Last but certainly not least, we have Dr. Laura Weiser-Erlandson in biology, our newest full professor. Congratulations. Give a round of applause for all these new promotions. And now I want to welcome to the stage Dr. Anitha Chinnamaneni, our Dean of the Graduate School, who is going to come up, and we're going to recognize some distinguished graduate faculty.
Good morning. Distinguished graduate faculty is the highest level of recognition that graduate faculty can have. Sorry, I'm too short here, but... this designation honors tenured faculty members who have exceptional scholarly record, and over a sustained period of time. The scholarship could include peer-reviewed publications, books, grants, contracts, and other scholarly contributions. What makes this honor especially meaningful is that the faculty members are nominated by their peers and are selected by a vote by the Graduate Council. It is a significant honor and one that is truly well-deserved. This year, we're pleased to welcome 4 more new recipients to the ranks of distinguished graduate faculty. Each recipient will receive a cash award and a medal that can be worn at the graduation. So please join us in congratulating the recipients for this year. As I call out their name, if they're here, please come. Dr. Stefan Schuberlein. Dr. Christopher Tron. This is second time recognition for Dr. Tron, and it is not an easy accomplishment. Dr. Tron is not here. Okay. Dr. Khaldun Dao. Okay.
Who's on FDO?
Dr. Leila Orudzeva.
Yay, we got one.
Congratulations once again.
Thank you. We also like to take this time at the start of a new academic year to recognize some of our faculty members who have completed certain trainings and certifications over the last year to help them improve in their teaching performance. There are a number of folks who completed the advanced certificate in AQ, and I'll just call these names and wave as I go down the line. Dr. Leah Amuna, I know she's here. She's hiding over there. Kendall Smith, she's here as well. And then folks who've completed the Effective Online Teaching Practices Certificate. And I'll run down these names quickly and we can hold our applause to the end. Matt Flincham, I think I saw Matt here. Jeanette Mazie, Jen Moore, Judy Schaefer, Shiza Shahid, Steve Hannock, Chris Ann Holscher, Brian Johnson, Daniel Kim, and Chad Pettit. Let's give them all a round of applause. The Center for Faculty Engagement, which is headed up by Dr. Morgan Lewing with assistance from Dr. Lisa Bunkowski, also provides opportunities for faculty to be fellows in research and creative activities. Faculty lead for that is Dr. Madeline Schell, and the mentors are Dr. Andrea Swegler and Michelle Shea. The fellows for this year, and again, I'll read through all of these. We can applaud at the end. Khaldun Dao, Lavanya Alluri, Malin Lilly, Dawn Reese, and Kita Singhmi. and Shamandika Sirawanda. Let's give them all a round of applause. The final group we want to recognize are the Service Learning Fellows for 25 and 26. Again, in 25, organized by Dr. Lewing. Those individuals are Shelley Harris, Felicia Holloway, Madeline Shell, Shamandika Sirawanda, Kendall Smith, and Yulin Tai. And for 2026, under Ankita Singhvi, we have Lavanya Urelli, Matthew Flincham, Meanie Roberts, and Judy Schaefer. Let's give all them a round of applause. Now I'm going to call on Dr. Madeline Shell, Presiding Officer of Faculty Advisory Council, for some awards that they have. There you go. You probably don't need it.
Hello, so I'm Madeline Shell. It's my pleasure to be serving as the Faculty Advisory Council presiding officer. So last year's Faculty Advisory Council decided that we wanted to recognize faculty excellence with university-wide awards. We had great buy-in, a ton of submissions, so our committee had a really tough time making decisions, but there were 3 individuals who stood out as exceptional in each of our 3 categories. First, we have Dr. Deepti Gupta, and if you can come up and receive your award, she won our Excellence in Scholarship Award. Next, we have Dr. Malin Lilly, who won our Excellence in Teaching Award. And next we have Dr. Chamandika Siriwardana, who won the Excellence in Service Award. And all of these did amazing things, and I had stuff prepped, but I'll skip it for time. But I did want to recognize one additional Faculty Advisory Council representative who deserves a special shout out. Adjunct faculty make meaningful contributions to all of our programs. Since they don't do service, often they don't contribute to our committee work, but we had one adjunct faculty representative who volunteered her time to serve on FAC. So last year that was Ruby Bowen, and she made a lot of really meaningful contributions to our discussions and our Faculty Advisory Council summit. So I have a little thing for her, but she's not here today. So just wanted to recognize her. Finally, one theme that came up several times in Faculty Advisory Council last year was, the past few years have been challenging for faculty in higher ed, and we're all tired and stressed. We can't solve all the problems, but we did want to kind of recognize all of your work. So we have the 25-26 Faculty Advisory Council decided to get a little gift for all of our full-time faculty, so that should be finding its way to you shortly. And then lastly, I just want to remind you all that Faculty Advisory Council is here to represent the faculty. So if you have questions or concerns or things you'd like us to discuss, please feel free to reach out to me or your representatives, and we will talk about it. Thank you.
I thought she was going to say you all get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car. Maybe next year. So all it takes is money, right? We have a very special recognition we want to pause and acknowledge today for one of our very own. Dr. Weiser Erlandson is the recipient of a national teaching award. She has recently been notified by the Entomological Society of America as winner of the Distinguished Achievement Award in Teaching, which is presented annually to the member of the society deemed to be the most outstanding teacher of the year. I think this is amazing. And so, Laura, stand up. Let's give you some recognition for that. That's really awesome. Glad to hear about that. Take a few minutes and kind of update the room on some new academic programs that we've started or that we anticipate will be coming online in the very near future. First is our Master of Science in Nursing Administration, and the nursing faculty are super excited about this. I understand they now have, 42 people in the program now, or? You wish. That's amazing. Good work. COBA has launched the new BBA in Logistics and Supply Chain Management. That starts officially this fall. We've already got a few students that have chosen that as their path through the BBA. And we are hopeful to be able to launch the first cohort of the Master of Social Work in fall of 2027. So those are in place, and we're excited about those. We are in the process, Dr. Coote is in the process, I should say, as our SACS institutional liaison, of submitting the necessary materials to SAC COC to get approval for our new Doctorate of Education, EDD, and our new Doctor of Business Administration. And that involves a level change for our organization. So she's a busy lady and doing an amazing job. Thank you, Dr. Coote, for everything you do. I'm going to hand the podium over to my colleague and friend, Dr. Scott F. Lant, for Military Talent Pipeline.
Every time you're at graduation, you're like, wow, where did the year go? And every time I'm at Convocation, I'm like, wow, where did the year go? Because it was a year ago I was introduced as the new person on campus starting the Military Talent Pipeline. Well, I've been hanging out for a year. And then to get things moving, we hired Gabe Ramirez. And so what I thought I'd do is, next slide, share with you just a couple things that we're working on. Next, please. Now, for most of you, these will seem mildly entertaining. And they are mildly entertaining until me or Gabe knocks on your door, sends you an email with some left field request that we need in 48 hours. I'm sorry. And for those who have been great team partners in some of our projects, I just want to publicly say thank you, because when we've asked for assistance from deans or faculty or staff, the response has been timely and super professional, and it represents the university well. So across the street at 3 Core, they are doing what they call Transformation and Contact, and they started a program called Phantom X, and it has 11 spokes on there. As the university, in some capacity, we touch about 8 of them. One of them that comes to light right here is we introduced 2 new faculty under the auspices of the MTP program. But what happened is 3 Core reached out to us and they said, hey, we've got some holes in our swing that is affecting our readiness. We'd like you to stand up a specialized continuing education program in 3 areas. It's in data analytics, software design, and drone management. Not drone flying, they got that down pretty good, but actually how do you manage drones? Life cycle repair, cost maintenance, benefit analysis, FAA compliance, et cetera. So what should come online in the next 2 to 3 months as we finalize the paperwork is 3 Corps will send soldiers to us on campus. They've got a curriculum that looks a lot like bespoke college classes from our course catalog. They'll be awarded as CUs, and it'll be worth about the equivalent of about 9 credit hours awarded as CUs. The part that's challenging is it's compressed into 10 weeks. Yeah, so it'll be exciting. And then if that's not exciting enough, there'll be a 2-week recess, reset, recock, and the next session starts. And they want to run 4 sessions a year in each of those 3 programs. I think that's neat for a couple things. One, it's just kind of nice to help young Americans, young people, like all you do every day, better themselves. 2, it puts them in touch with the university. So because it's paid for by the Army, this is their place of duty. For many of them, it brings them here where it may not be part of their normal circles. And with any luck and forethought, they'll use this university to continue pursuing their college education. And additionally, most of them are parents, and it gives them a place to think about where to send their kids in the future, and I think that's pretty neat. Next slide. So that's at the local level. At the national level, and for most of you, because you're all younger than me, this probably doesn't scare you as much as me. The demand for nurses in Texas in the next 10 years is going to increase by 29%. For, it's a retirement destination of Texas, booming economy, intrastate migration, all those reasons, demand's going to increase 29% in the next 10 years. The result is a 15% unmet demand. So the nursing school and the healthcare ecosystem can only expand so fast under the given structure. 15% unmet demand in 10 years. I'm going to need those nurses in 10 years. This bothers me. But more importantly, it'd be one thing if you had 15% unmet demand for nurses and it was fair shared across the state. That would be painful. But unfortunately, the shortage of nurses shows up in nursing homes and rural hospitals first. And so that 15% is really disproportionately shared by select communities. One of the ways, not the way, I think that we can fix that is looking at a way to keep medics that are discharged from the service and put them on a pipeline to take advantage of their experience to become registered nurses. Texas and many of our great schools in the system give credit for their training they've had, but they don't give them credit for the experience they have. And so what happens is, in order to put food on the table and take care of their kids, they leave the healthcare profession when they're discharged. The potential, so you've heard the numbers before, there's about 1,600 soldiers that are discharged from Fort Hood every month. About the same number, just a little bit less, come out of Fort Bliss at the other side of the state. 8% of those are in the medical field. That's about 300, just under 300 medical field military personnel in the state of Texas discharged every month. And that's before we count Joint Base San Antonio healthcare system down there. So that takes you easily up to about 350. If we could set up a program that efficiently gets military medical professionals into an RN program rather than becoming real estate agents or factory workers, I think we could make a difference. So that's what we want to work on coming up, but it's going to take a team effort. It's going to take the legislature, the Board of Nursing, and the school systems and the nursing schools to pull that together. But that's what we're working on. Next, please. And then, how many of you have heard of the Forge? Okay. I'd like to thank Dr. Close for arranging that favorable publicity. She's done a great job. Here's what what's important to me about that. So it's neat that it's partnering with the community. It's neat that our representatives from the district went to the federal government and secured federal dollars to help with this modernization. It's neat that we get to host it and brand it as our facility, ours, the universities. But here's what I'm really, really excited below those banners. It's going to provide an opportunity, the first of its kind, for people in the community, young entrepreneurs, to get a chance to vet their ideas. And so we look forward to partnering with the dean of our new dean of the business school and running our own in-house community Shark Tank. And we've got some financial backing, and so if somebody has that great idea that they think just needs a nudge in the right direction, maybe this is a chance, a way they can stand up their business, because it'll offer some advanced manufacturing tools. We've got the well-renowned faculty, many of them just recognized here from the business school, partner with the Small Business Administration rep from the region, give them some office space, some mentorship, show them how to get grants and launch businesses that can make a difference in our community right here, piggybacking off the intellectual capital of the university. At the same time, we get a twofer out of it. We're placing some tools in there. We'll expand the lab capabilities for the engineering department. And so our criteria for the tool selection in there has been, is it the appropriate scale? Is it to the industry standard in terms of the software and tool design that's being used? Can we train our instructors to certify the students so when they leave the program, they've got credentials to put on their resume to market themselves? And then can we have an enduring, cost-efficient contract that allows us to perpetuate that? That's the thing that makes me excited about the Forge. I mean, Gabe's all excited about the massaging chair he's going to put in his office in the front. I'm less excited about that. I'm excited about the way it brings the community and it brings our academic credentials and power to make an enduring difference, not just in people's lives, but in the larger ecosystem of the area. Again, I thank you all, because the calls always come at the last minute and they're always one-off, and all of you have been very supportive of that, and I look forward to doing some more of those type activities, not torturing you, developing new opportunities in the future. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Good morning. I'm honored today to talk to you a little bit about the Temple College, well, it says Counseling Center up there. It's not an official name yet. It has not been named. We're in the process of this. Did you? Okay. So I want to give you a little bit of background of why we're doing this and then also where we are in the process. So the Temple College Clinic will be a second location for our clinical and mental health counseling and marriage and family therapy graduate students to complete their practicum. So currently our students utilize the Community Counseling and Family Therapy Center that's here on our campus that you know on the second floor. And so this will give us a second location so that we can build our counseling program, both CMHC and marriage and family therapy. This will provide a location at Temple College, so it will be on their campus. If you know Temple College, it's going to be in the One College Center building, which is right behind, directly behind their main building now, their beautiful main building that we already have a presence in. It's still remaining A&M Central Texas. It's going to have a wrap. It's going to have signage. It will be no doubt that it is ours, but at Temple College. Excuse me. The clinic will serve Temple College students first, primarily, since they don't currently have any kind of counseling or wellness services that are available to them at Temple College. So we will be providing that service for them. Secondly, it will serve the broader community of Temple. And then we have high hopes. Charlie Ayers, as we're pushing for further down the road even though the space hasn't even been renovated yet, we're already thinking about military connections and all of that for that location and possibly another location. We'll think about that. So this is infographic, obviously, kind of gives you the pathway and where we are, where we're going. We have 2 sources of external funding so far. We have a Trellis Foundation grant that we received a year ago. University Relations has worked really hard for us. So the work started over a year ago. We have $300,000 from them with that grant. And then since then, in the last year, and I have to get this right because it's a huge name, is it up there? Temple Health and Bioscience Economic Development District has donated $250,000 over the next 2 to 3 years. So between those two, we get to start renovating and we get to start thinking about our personnel over there. So what's this location going to include? Right now, we have a welcome area for the students, obviously. It's a really good location, close to the parking lot. As soon as they walk into the back entrance of that building, it's immediately to the left. It has one entrance in. It will have a secondary exit entrance, or exit door that leads to bathrooms that are secluded in a hallway. But it's a key card access to get back in that door, but they can walk around. It's fully operational within the space that it is. It will have 7 counseling rooms, and each one of these will accommodate individual, partner, family, and telehealth counseling, as well as play therapy, if we get the remote play therapy station that we would like. We will have 1 conference room that butts up to two walls, each but up to one of the counseling rooms. And so we will have observation walls there. So it can serve as a counseling room with it closed off so you can't see into those counseling rooms, or it can be an observation room. We have 3 offices for staff, and if we don't need the 3 offices to begin with, 1 can be a counseling room as well, so that we can actually have 8 counseling rooms total. There's a break room with a sink and a fridge and a microwave, a storage room, and an IT closet. We think we've covered everything, given all the feedback that we got from Dr. Norris, who runs our clinic here, and Dr. Amuna, who runs our student wellness center here, as well as other people that we talked along the way. So where we are, we're in the design and costing phase. The initial floor plan was approved. We were given 3 floor plans after meeting with the architect. I chose 1. It went to executive cabinet, I'm told, and was approved there. So now we're waiting on, well, what's it going to cost us? And then, as you can imagine, we're tied to Temple College with some of this. So it is their facility. but it's our money. And so that's all way above my pay grade. All I know is that's where we're at. And so I'm just, where's Todd, going to constantly, every week, say, where are we? And let's, we've got to go. Because we need to renovate the space, obviously. And it's not a lot of renovations, but some of it is aesthetic. So carpets and painting and making sure it's very welcoming, that it is a wellness center, that it is aesthetically pleasing, confidentiality, soundproofing, things like that. So we have that, and once we start renovations, then we can start hopefully staffing and hiring personnel, because our goal is fall of 2027 to get this going. If you ask Temple College, the president and the provost there say tomorrow, you need to open tomorrow. If you ask Charlie Ayers, who's reporting to Trellis Foundation, tomorrow, we need it tomorrow. And if you ask, I think, all of our CMHC and MFT faculty, they would love for it to be tomorrow as well. So I think we're all very excited about this and the opportunity that it presents us to be a part of Temple College, but to grow our programs more and provide services for students and communities greater than just here in Killeen. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It was a good morning. Yeah. Sorry. Come on up, Caroline. Before I turn over to Caroline, I was going to let you know, Dr. Webb, we met with the architects and Temple College Monday, so we're on it. So, first of all, good morning, everyone. Great to see you all here, and welcome, especially to the new faculty and staff. We're super glad you're here. I'd like to turn the time over to our staff council president for an award. Doctor.
That's okay. Thank you, Tom. It's okay. Oops, okay. Good morning. I'm Carolyn Williams, current Staff Council President. So I wanted to go ahead and announce the Torch Award winner. Staff Council received 4 nominations for the spring 2026 semester. The nominees are Rachel Cannon, Finance and Administration, Natisha Johnson, Warrior Center for Student Success, Asia Terry, Human Resources, and Tiana Thomas, Business Affairs. So the winner of the spring...
Are you going to explain what the torch is?
Oh, yes.
Next slide.
You have up here. Okay. Okay, so the Torch Award, we've had it for quite some time now. It stands for teamwork, outstanding service, responsibility, creativity, and honor. And we have an award for both spring and the fall semester. We have an award for both the spring and fall semester. Okay, the winner is Miss Tiana Thomas, Business Affairs.
And we won't make you carry the torch. We'll bring it back.
We'll bring it to you. Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Caroline. And for those of you that don't know, Tiana is one of the folks in the business office that helps collect money from our students. So it is a tough job, and we very much appreciate her. Congratulations. All right, thanks again, everyone. To start, we'd like to go to the core building, and I think we have time. Can you go ahead and run we got a little video that shows you what the core building looks like. Let's start with that. Thank you. So I thought about narrating as we were going there, but I wanted to start off with, some of you remember, most of you remember Dr. Ray Vickery, the previous provost, and her take on the core building was it was the most beautiful central plant she'd ever seen on a campus. But I start with that because, as I like to remind her, it's not just a central plant. So what is the core building? Well, first of all, CORE stands for Central Operational Reliability and Efficiency Facility. And that was a term coined many years ago by our previous CFO and some other staff. And the bottom line is it's a multi-purpose facility, just like in most of our other buildings. It encompasses, obviously, a central plant, and we'll talk a little bit about what that means. But in the other scheme of things, it also hosts the University Police Department. So Chief Flores and his office and his group have a office space, meeting space, an evidence room, things like that, and a very nice dedicated training center for their virtual system. So those of you in the Founders won't hear them shooting their virtual training simulator anymore in Founders Hall. So they've got a very great new facility for our University Police Department. And kind of working that's from right to left. So the central plant is in the back. You can't really see it in the photo. You saw it in the video. Central plant in the back. On the right-hand side, University Police Department operations. The middle, with that slanted roof, that is actually a training facility and an emergency operations center. So it's a nice large classroom, not as large as this room, but a fairly large classroom that's set up to be our emergency operation training center. And, heaven forbid we have an emergency, that will be where we would operate the campus from. So that's built right into the center part of the building. On the left-hand side, the part you can see on the left-hand side, that's for facilities. It's office space for Sean and his team, for the SSC folks, and also a shipping and receiving and some warehousing space. So for deliveries on pallets and things like that, we have a nice receiving area instead of the back of Founders Hall now. So that's kind of the general functions of the building. The central plant, as I mentioned, is in the back of the building. You saw it as the video wrapped around. There's a large cooling tower, and inside that room is a large chiller is what they call it, a centrifugal chiller, which now that it's operational, that one room cools the rest of campus with the exception of one building. Right now, it's not large enough to cool the entire campus, but as we grow, we'll add chillers, and all of our chilled water for cooling our campus will come from that location. And in addition, there's also a big electrical plant. So all of our electricity comes from that building now, through that building, and there's a large generator. Some of you recall during Winter Storm Uri in 2021, when we had no electricity for a while, that should be no longer a possibility because the large generator will supply emergency power to campus and run the entire campus. So we're super excited about all that. Sean and his group have moved in recently. The UPD's been in there for a little bit too. There was some delays. Most of you probably heard this was going to be occupied in the springtime. We were able to move in mid-July after they fixed some underground problems. The part you don't see about the core project was there was a lot of underground work. Many of you saw the digging going on last spring and last winter. They had to get back in and fix some things underground over the summer. Now that that's all done, essentially the project is over. We're in the building, and the only thing we haven't done yet is sort of a ribbon cutting or sort of a grand opening. We're working on that, so watch for a save the date. That'll be a little bit later this fall. But in the meantime, I believe Chief Flores and Sean are going to schedule some tours. So if you want to see the inside of the building, that's coming soon as well. So, and finally, that project was funded by the state legislature a couple of sessions ago as a CCAP project. So the majority of that funding came from the state. Next slide. All right, so coming up, this is more looking forward now. Where are we going next? So most of you have heard that student housing is sort of on our plate. That was approved by the Board of Regents back in February for us to proceed with construction on our student housing project. Over the summer, the systems facilities unit helped us select architects and the construction crews and things like that, the construction management firm. That was all done over the summer. Last week, we had the official kickoff meeting, so we've actually started official design work on what our housing is going to look like. Once the project's fully designed and specified and kind of laid out, we'll return to the Board of Regents one more time for approval to proceed with actual construction. And assuming all that goes as planned next spring, the project should start construction in about a year from now, and with the goal of moving in fall of semester of 2029. That's the current plan, and right now everything's lining up pretty well. So 3 years from today, we should have students living in our housing. As indicated up here, it's a relatively small number of beds. We're not building 1,000 beds of student housing because right now we didn't feel that was the market study didn't indicate that was where we should start, starting small, also starting with apartment-style housing rather than more traditional dorm rooms where 20 students might share, restrooms and things like that, have a dining hall in another facility. Since we don't have dining halls yet, and a lot of our students are, a little bit older, they might prefer a private bedroom. The market study said we should start with apartment-style housing. So right now, it'll be either 2-bedroom or 4-bedroom suites with shared kitchen, shared bathrooms, but private bedrooms. And as far as location, it'll be just to the west of us here, kind of out by the core building. If you can imagine in your head where West Campus Drive intersects with Leadership Place, that's where we're siting the new housing. It'll be out this direction. And still well within walking distance, but a little more private, a little bit not right in the middle of campus, and definitely having the back entrance to campus so we don't have as much traffic coming in. So that's kind of where we're at on housing. It's exciting. It's a lot of work. We're really glad Dr. Howe's here to help us on the student side of it. The design team encompasses folks like Dr. Howe, Clifton W. Jones, and obviously the facilities group. UPD's pitching in. So we're working on the housing design. We'll keep you up to date on that and hopefully have a good progress in a year. We might be turning ground on that. Financing, you might ask, the financing on the student housing, if you can think of, this isn't funded by the state. Housing has to be funded separately. And in sort of a consumer sense of the word, what we've done is a sort of a no-down 30-year mortgage through the system. So this is essentially financed through the A&M system treasury. It's a 30-year mortgage once the building's constructed, and of course the mortgage payments will get paid off through revenue from the rentals. So there's no money up front. It's a long-term note, if you will, that we take out through the treasury office. Next, please. The last one, this is kind of a funny term, safe room. I'll start with safe room is what the Federal Emergency Management Agency calls these shelters that they are funding through the Texas Department of Emergency Management. So I'm going to abbreviate. TDEM for Texas Department of Emergency Management was able to connect us about 2 years ago with the FEMA agency at the federal level. They had some funding in their hazard mitigation pool of funds, and we were able to apply for that a couple of years ago. Finally, in May, we were awarded Phase 1 funding, so now we have the money to design a safe room. Some folks, Charlie's not here, he calls it the Warrior Dome. We're not sure if it's even going to be a dome, but typically tornado-proof safe rooms are dome-shaped structures. But we are working on some other options. It may be a flat roof structure, things like that. It's all a matter of how much funding the FEMA group is going to fund. They fund 90% of the project. The university has to fund the remaining 10%. That's safe room. And we also have the option of making it a little bit larger. So we're also looking into the option of making the, let's call it the safe room for now. We don't have an official name yet. The safe room larger than what FEMA would fund, and maybe being able to add some facilities in there for recreational sports, maybe some courts, maybe some seating. Unfortunately, Dr. Rhodes would like it to be the big convocation or commencement center. We're probably not going to be able to make it as large enough to do commencement. We can't quite emulate the the center in Belton. But bottom line is, this would be a great facility, we feel. The good news is, when it's not in use for tornadoes, the university can use it for other things. Campus events, for example, recreational sports, things like that. So that's what we're in the process of designing right now under that Phase 1 funding. We'll be bringing in some of you all to talk about sort of what the programming should look like. The next step is to go back to the Board of Regents and receive approval to build the building, and also from FEMA for the Phase 2 funding. So that's kind of the key. And anything going through FEMA, that could take a while. But they're in a hurry. They want us to spend the money, so we're kind of putting the pedal to the metal on getting the design done. So this is moving fairly quickly. The location on this right now is sited at the end of parking lot A. So think to the east of parking lot A, kind of in that empty area heading down towards the creek. That was on the master plan. That's where we envisioned a rec building, and so it's going to fit in pretty well there, we think. On top of one last thing, it mentions trailhead there as a function. As some of you may know, Dr. Kirk worked with Texas Parks and Wildlife to get a small grant to get us started on hiking and biking trails. And we're envisioning this new facility being sort of the trailhead. There would be external bathrooms, some water, maybe some shade for people to kind of gather as they prep to take off or come back from the trails. So anyway, super exciting, lots of work. Much thanks to Sean Kelly and his group, and all of you that are on these programming teams on these two. In closing, I think that's it. Yeah, that's all I have. In closing, I'd just like to say thanks to everyone who worked over the summer. We had a great summer semester and getting campus ready for the fall. There's a few last things I'll just say real quickly. We were able to refresh some of the, as part of the core project, we were able to add the food truck pad over by the hammock area. And there's also some lighting going in on the rugby field. Not quite ready yet, but in the next month or so, the lights for the rugby field should be on for ROTC to work early in the morning, things like that. And that landscaping by that food truck area has been improved too. So lots of hard work went in by the facilities crew, Sean and the SSC folks. So thank you to everybody who worked over the summer. Looking forward to a great semester, and go Warriors.
Good morning. You know, it's my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker today, and that is Commissioner Wynn Rosser. You know, I'll read a little bit about his background, and then I'll tell you a personal story about him, because I know he loves to hear that story every time. So Dr. Wynn Rosser is the Commissioner of Higher Education and CEO of the Texas Education Coordinating Board, where he provides statewide leadership and oversees higher education budget and policy for the world's 8th largest economy. With a background in cultivating cross-sector collaboration, Dr. Rosser has extensive experience partnering with others to advance shared goals for education across Texas. You know, that really goes into the work that he does with TEA and with the TWC, Texas Workforce Commission, and making sure that all three sectors are working together to resolve and face the needs of the workforce in the state of Texas. Before joining the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, Dr. Rosser spent almost 2 decades in philanthropic leadership, serving as president and CEO of the TLL Temple Foundation, a family foundation focused on issues facing rural Texas, East Texas, and as chief executive of the Greater Texas Foundation, a foundation that focuses on improving post-secondary access and success. And for those of you who don't know, one of the grants that we have, which is helping students who graduate from early college high schools to come directly to us, is funded by the Greater Texas Foundation. Prior to that, he worked for 14 years at Texas A&M University in faculty, staff, and senior administrative roles. He holds an associate degree from Kilgore College, a bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees from Texas A&M University, and additionally he completed emergency medical technician and EMT training through the School of EMS and is nationally registered and Texas state licensed EMT. So if anybody has trouble today, we have an EMT with us. Native of rural Texas, Commissioner Rosser and his wife come from multi-generational rural families and are raising 3 children. Let me tell you one quick story about him. I've known Win for about 20 years or so. I first met him, I was the president of El Paso Community College in El Paso, Texas. We had started one early college high school, the first, depending on who you talk to, first or second in the state of Texas. And Win was new as the CEO for the Greater Texas Foundation. We had asked for some funding for the seed funding to start another early college high school in collaboration with the Canutillo Independent School District. And so Win came down and he brought 3 or 4 of his board members. Chair of the board, I remember at the time, was Dr. John Moss. And so I get myself in trouble periodically for, in the old days, doing Aggie jokes, because as a Longhorn, I used to love to tell Aggie jokes. I don't do that anymore. So anyway, Win and his board came, and I think it was on a Saturday morning. It was shortly after the University of Texas and the Texas A&M football game. And just happened that the University of Texas won that game. And so I made a couple of Aggie jokes, and John Moss, Dr. John Moss, the chair of his board, said, Dr. Rhodes, do you know much about the Greater Texas Foundation? And I said, it is a wonderful foundation. You know, they're doing some surprising and remarkable work in supporting and funding projects for higher education in the state of Texas, making a real difference. And he says, no, do you know anything about our board? I said, well, not much. I'm just glad that you're here. And he said, we are all Aggies. And I said, immediately I said, it is so refreshing to find that a group of Aggies would see fit to invest in a Longhorn. So with that, Win and I have worked, they did fund it. Not only that, but they went over and above that, and they funded scholarships. They promised every student who graduated with an associate degree by the time they graduated from high school, they guaranteed them a $2,000 scholarship to the college or university of their choice. So with that, I just say, this man has, sometimes I refer to him as a data geek. He understands the data better than anybody, I will say, in the state of Texas. He is the most passionate person I have seen when it comes to supporting, through data, student success. He believes in it. He shows it in every day. And it is so refreshing to see him in charge of the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. I can't think of a better person to be in that position than Win Rosser. So join me in welcoming Dr. Win Rosser.
Kind of all weepy after that, so literally. Is it okay if I speak from down here? Okay, cool. Thank you, Dr. Rhodes. Yeah, Richard and I have worked together now in our current roles and 2 previous roles. And sharing with Jordan on the right. First, I'm joined by 2 coordinating board colleagues this morning, Dr. Brandon Griggs, who I know probably all of you in the room know, our Assistant Commissioner for Academic and Health Affairs, and then Jordan Thielen. Jordan and I drove over this morning from Austin and was talking about when I left Texas A&M University, I had to learn how much I didn't know about education. Because I was very focused on the issues of a flagship, a very large institution with very particular needs and characteristics. And one of the first trips I made was to El Paso, and where I met this guy named Richard Rhodes, and that story really did happen. And not only did we make that grant, we made many other grants. In fact, over the time that I was at Greater Texas Foundation, the El Paso region was one of the single largest areas that we focused on the most, as well as the Rio Grande Valley and rural Texas. That investment, or that first investment and that experience at early college, so this is 2006, 2007, high school students doing college work was still crazy talk then. So you leave this flagship, go out to just transitioned out of the university and into this role, trying to figure out what do we do about education, and how do we help improve educational outcomes statewide. Come into to El Paso and very skeptical. But Dr. Rhodes wisely put us in a room full of students who had just finished their freshman year in high school and just finished their, notionally their freshman year as students at EPCC. And the students sold us. The adults were great, the students sold us, and then the faculty sold us too. And the faculty told us about how having those students in their classrooms really enhanced the classroom experience for everyone. That then, fast forward a few years, as an institution or as an organization that believed in scholarships and financial aid and removing barriers, we're trying to figure out how do we be more strategic with our scholarship investments. And we realized the universities are talking about needing college-ready students. The community colleges at that point, Texas had the most early college high schools in the country. I think we still do. Very robust dual credit policy that's continued to develop since then. We have about 300,000 students right now in the state of Texas taking dual credit. Commissioner Morath and I share more students through dual credit than 7 states have total K-12 population. So we find this population of college-ready students who represent the kinds of students the universities say they want to recruit. And the universities at that point really weren't paying that much attention to early college high schools. So this is 2007, 2011, 12 timeframe. And so we start this scholarship program. We're graduates of Texas early college high schools that want to pursue a baccalaureate. Greater Texas Foundation created this program, started at 5 universities, and now I think there are 10 or 12 universities. I'm glad that A&M Central Texas is one. So kind of coming full circle today in a lot of ways. One, just that one story, and thinking about data, thinking about the students that we have, thinking about what can we do to remove barriers and ensure that students, one of the things that is true that I've found is the students will rise to the challenge. The adults have to figure out the systems and structures and in some ways get out of their way. And so that's one of the things Dr. Rhodes taught me is, and I saw it first, in Conatia. Well, actually, that was probably at Mission, right? There was Mission, the Mission Early College High School. The students rise to the challenge. The adults have to figure out the systems and structures to help them. And in some ways, remove the barriers and get out of their way. So full circle there. Full circle also, I was born in Temple at Scott and White. My mom and dad are both from Salado. And my grandparents lived on a ranch between Salado and Florence. So Florence was we either came to Florence or Salado or Belton, depending on what we needed to do. I grew up spending the entire summers on horseback, pretty much with my grandfather. And so we didn't go by the old place, which unfortunately now I think is mostly ranchettes. But we did drive through downtown Florence. And so Jordan let me kind of reminisce there a little bit this morning on the drive over. But this place, this geography is in my DNA. I was raised in Kilgore in rural East Texas. My dad was a high school teacher, but Central Texas is my family DNA. And I'm very comfortable in the environment and the topography. So some of what I want to do today is talk to you about this environment, this geography that you serve, your unique mission, and I think your unique capabilities, and put that within the context of some national trends, but mostly state policy, the things that we're doing in our state, the things that are coming from a state policy standpoint, and hopefully put all the accomplishments and the celebration and the opportunities that you heard about previously, kind of put that within the context of the state and the nation and what we're trying to do. It's a story of opportunities and challenges. We'll start with our Building a Talent Strong Texas plan. In 2020, we released Building a Talent Strong Texas. It centers on the fact that we need more Texans earning more credentials than we've ever awarded in the past. At the time, nationally, and also kind of statewide, we knew somewhere around 60% of all jobs will require some education and training beyond high school, post-secondary education. Not necessarily bachelor's degrees, but some education and training beyond high school. Now we think that number's probably up to 70%, and it may even be higher than that. But what we have here is baseline data, where we were in 2019, where we are at the midpoint, most recent data available. You all know education data lags, so in this case, most recent data we have is 2024. We'll get updated data in the fall. And then where we wanted to be by 2030. In this case, benchmarking to that 60% overall attainment goal. We just want 60% of adult working age Texans to hold a post-secondary credential. Break it down into two populations, 25 to 34, 35 to 64. Again, with your unique mission, you know different populations require different strategies. And so recognizing that the traditionally aged students, which by the way, no more are the majority and haven't been for a while, and the older students that our higher education institutions serve require different strategies, so we break those out. See, we've made progress. We've made pretty significant progress at the midpoint. We're about halfway to where we need to be. I think we will get to the 60% goal, and I'll tell you why on this slide. So you'll see here again, 2019 data, midpoint where we are to the target. This is credentials of value. So we've gone through phases in higher education where coming out of the GI Bill, the Civil Rights Movement, really the focus was on access. We just want our population to have access to higher education. And this is one of the things that I learned from Dr. Rhodes and our friends Byron and Kay McClenny, who were at the University of Texas Community College Leadership Program at the time. Access is great, but what we really need is students to complete. And so we went from the kind of the access era to the completion era, and now we're in the value era. So completion of what? Because it turns out what you complete matters, and I've got a slide on that coming up. So credential of value in Texas is defined. It's essentially ROI. The credential that the student earns puts them in a position to be better off than they would have been had they not earned that credential. So it takes into account real cost to the student, the opportunity cost of being enrolled as opposed to earning, benchmarked against the earnings of someone with a high school diploma only, which is a low bar, but it's a bar. And then a break-even point at a time relative to the credential length. So for bachelor's degrees, it's 10 years. For associate's degrees, it is 5 years. And for certificates, we have to figure that out between now and September 1st, 2027. So we're working on that. A lot of variation in certificates. Some of them can be 9-hour certificates, and some of them can be 42-hour or more certificates. So a lot of variation there. But we want to hit this annual goal, annually, of awarding 550,000 credentials of value. You see, we started out at 347,000, so about 200,000 more credentials every year cumulatively to ensure Texans are prepared for the workforce, and again, this 8th largest economy in the world. We're making progress. We've made the progress. So when you look at 2020 to 2025, cumulatively, we've awarded about 2 million credentials of value. So we've made a lot of progress. I think we'll hit 2030, those goals, because of community college finance. In the 88th legislative session, Texas adopted a performance-based model, an outcomes-based model for Texas community colleges. 95% of community college funding in this state, of the state funding, is conditioned upon outcomes. First state in the country that has done that. It's complex, it's dynamic. We're learning as we go. Not only the first time we've done it, the first time anyone in the country has taken this approach, but we're putting community college funding behind ensuring that students are progressing towards credentials of value. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a bit, but essentially it's ROI. Is the student better off because they pursued the credential? Last year's freshmen, probably the last university, you guys are different because you're transfer mission, but last year's freshmen at a 4-year university is probably the last university students that will help us towards this goal. The community colleges, though, with those 1-semester certificates up to 3 or 4 semester certificates, or associate's degrees, still have an opportunity to help us close this gap annually, and I think because of community college contributions, we'll get there. Finally, we wanted to have an affordability goal. Debt is not the only measure of affordability, but it's one that gets a lot of attention. We've already exceeded our affordability or our debt goal. 97% of all Texas graduates have manageable debt. In Texas, again, that's defined. That's debt you can repay with the credential you earned within 10 years. We have manageable debt limits for undergrad and grad. So you hear a lot about that in the national news. Texas has had that in place for a number of years. The bigger story behind that debt number is more than half of Texas graduates have no debt at all. And of those that do, the average is $25,000 or less. The national headlines would have you believe that, we've got these massive, every student has massive debt. Are there some that have six-figure debt? Yes. Do we nationally have a lot of student debt? Yes. But the Texas story is most graduates have manageable debt and most graduates have no debt at all. Big deal. And it's one of the ways that the Texas story differs greatly from the national story. Research and innovation, again, the universities contribute greatly to this. And we wanted to make sure the university contributions were reflected here. So it's not just about ensuring that our graduates are employable and prepared for the workforce, but it's also about research and innovation. You'll see that we wanted to grow our private and federal research expenditures by $1 billion. Again, we've already exceeded that goal. We did that in 5 years. We hit it last year. Now, second year in a row, $4.6 billion. 12, 13 years ago, Texas had 4 R1 institutions, research-intensive institutions, the highest categorization for research universities. Today we have 16. We previously lagged the states of California and New York that have 14 and 12 respectively. This last year we exceeded California, moved to 16, first place. The state of Texas has invested billions of dollars and continues to invest heavily in universities and university research. This is not a position that we are going to give up. We are one of the few states in the country that is able to invest in higher education and specifically in this way, research. To again, ensure that we remain positioned as one of the strongest economies, not only in the country, but in the world. We want to award 7,500 annual research doctorates. You'll see we're at about 4,700. We've made progress. This is a goal, I think, that will lag. Again, we're awarding hundreds more over that baseline every year. It will be an impressive total number, but Dr. Jones was over, I think, at our last board meeting with the new doctoral program being approved. We're approving, I don't know, Dr. Griggs, 6, 8, 10, it seems, doctoral programs every quarter. I know since I've been commissioner, we've probably approved 20. And so this is infrastructure, again, the state's investing in, institutions are investing in, that will pay off over time. And we're doing other things to support students moving into graduate programs, especially in high-demand fields. But if we're going to stay a place that is best in the country for doing business, best in the country for innovation, this is an investment we have to continue to make. I want to center on that middle graphic. Talked earlier about challenges and opportunities when I was opening my comments. One of our opportunities is 1 out of every 10 jobs in the country is in Texas. So we have 8th largest economy in the world and a lot of jobs. We also have more 16 to 24-year-olds. Our talent pipeline is larger than the population of 21 individual states. Now, all those states in blue have smaller total populations than we have 16 to 24-year-olds. It's both our challenge and our opportunities. We have jobs, we have a talent pipeline, we have a state that's investing in higher education. How do we help more young Texans navigate through the education and training they need to end up in one of those jobs? And there's good news to that end. So again, the national story is that there's lack of confidence in higher education. The Texas story is we have record enrollments in all sectors of higher education. This is last fall's enrollment data. We have higher rates of enrollment. We've exceeded pre-pandemic level highs, whether it's public, private, 2-year, 4-year, health-related institutions. We've exceeded year-on-year enrollment. So students are showing up. Texas families and students know higher education is important. Post-secondary education and training is important to that student's future. And Texas is awarding more degrees and credentials than we've ever awarded in the past. And yet, we still have about a 2.5 to 1 shortage for graduates in high-demand fields. So again, that's our challenge and our opportunity. Dr. Rhodes mentioned that I'm a data geek. I guess I am. Y'all can be the judge after I get done in a bit. But this is a tool, an interactive tool we have on our website. I'm going to show you 4 different views of it over the next few slides. This is called the Texas Talent Trajectory. It is based on the state's 8th grade cohort data. We have been publishing the 8th grade cohort data for decades. You'll notice down at the bottom it says this is data for students who were in the 8th grade between 2013 and 2015. Sometimes people will say, well, don't you have anything more recent than that? Well, this is actually an 11-year look back. So we follow students through high school, 6 years later, what have they earned? So this is data as of 2024, 25, and 26. This is actually longitudinal outcomes data. We can do this because of our tri-agency data sharing agreement that we have with the Texas Education Agency and the Texas Workforce Commission. We have one of the strongest longitudinal data systems in the country, and this is one of the data sets that comes out of that. So start with all 8th graders in Texas. We pick up in this graphic with who finishes high school, who goes out of state, who enrolls in Texas higher education, and who's not found. Those are the students who we believe don't enroll in higher education. They may pursue apprenticeships, they may pursue other training opportunities, but not in a public or private institution of higher education that reports data either nationally or to the state. Follow it through. That green bar is the students that first enroll in a community college. Orange bar is the students that first enroll in a university. And then what you see over on your far right is the students that complete any form of post-secondary education, certificates, associate's degrees, or bachelor's degrees. Notice up the top, we give you kind of some numbers at key milestones. About 1 out of 3 Texas 8th graders go on to complete anything within 6 years of high school graduation. At the population level, if you don't complete within 6 years of high school graduation, your chances drop off a lot. I know that's not necessarily the case for you, again, your unique location, your unique mission, your unique capabilities, but what we're trying to do at the state level is ensure more of those 8th graders directly enroll and complete. If I were standing here a dozen years ago, that number would have been 1 out of 5, maybe 1 out of 4. We made tremendous progress going from 20% to 33% of those 8th graders finishing a post-secondary credential. But even with the progress we've made, that means 66% of our talent is being left on the sidelines. And what we know is if they don't have the education and training that lines up to one of those high-demand jobs, their economic outcomes are much less, dramatically less, than had they completed some form of education and training beyond high school. The other thing, I just open it up, but I'll just say, kind of state the obvious. We have far too few students transferring and succeeding. We have far too many students, especially when you consider the 30% who don't enroll, far too few students pursuing workforce credentials. Again, those certificates that are from 9 hours to 42 hours, with which you can earn 6 figures in some cases. We have a bit of a hearts and minds issue about fully valuing those workforce credentials. Dr. Effeline, I'm very happy to hear you talk about the medics to nurses. I've got a slide coming up on when I'll reflect back on that a little bit. But we've got to fully appreciate and recognize those workforce completions as education and economic successes, just as we celebrate the students that finish bachelor's degrees. We've got to encourage students to pursue workforce education as a destination as opposed to kind of a exit ramp from an attempt at a 4-year credential. Because importantly, about 30% aren't found in higher education statewide, about 30% finish, and about 30% start but don't complete. We have conservatively 4.5 million, it's higher than that, conservatively 4.5 million Texans with some college and no credential. We add, out of every 8th grade cohort, 30 or 40,000 students a year to that population who show up knowing higher education is important, attempt, primarily at 2-year and 4-year institutions, find out higher education, at least as they've experienced, isn't for them, and they leave. They're 100% of our talent. We've got to figure out a way to help our talent navigate towards the education and training they need to be successful individually, to help our communities thrive, and to participate in this labor market. And I'll come back to transfer on the next few slides, because that's your unique mission. That's your unique capability, and that's your unique location. And it's a place where probably the state could learn from what you do to help students succeed. Dr. Rhodes mentioned, I have an associate's degree. I was a transfer student. I was a transfer advisor. Been working on transfer 20 years. And we're still bumping up against the same things. In spite of a lot of policy work that's been done to improve transfer, we're still hearing a lot of the same barriers. Again, I believe a lot of the students who start in that 2-year and some in the 4-year categories need to pursue workforce credentials as opposed to the bachelor's degree or the associate in the academics area, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. Not surprisingly, Dr. Rhodes has some data on that. So this is statewide. This is an interactive tool. So this is a screenshot of what you would see if you Google THECB and T3. And what I've highlighted is the region and the district boxes here. So Waco is the Education Service Center region. I think it's region 12 that Bell County sits in. And so you can come down to just your local region and look. And so notice it's pretty consistent with what we saw earlier. Still way too many students attempting and not completing. Transfer is a very small band off of the 2-year to 4-year enrollment. So you just click on the, hit the down arrow, drop down. If you want to go to specific ISDs in your region, it's easiest to do that through the region or the county, but you can look at all of them. Also sort by the student demographics. You can go down to the 8th grade campus in this look. So this is Waco, again, the region 12 in Bell County. Again, you see it's about 33% of the students that come from the 8th grade and finish credential. Same patterns. These patterns hold up. Every county in the state, regionally, it doesn't matter if you have a community college in your region or not. We still, it's about 2 or 3% certificates awarded, about 4 or 5% associate's degree completion. It doesn't matter if you're in Brazos County or McLennan County, with a community college or without, those numbers hold up. This is Waco, again, as a region, and Killeen ISD. And here it's only about 25% of those 8th graders go on to complete a post-secondary credential within 6 years. You guys know the region far better than I do. I won't speculate on why. We're just reflecting the data back. I know y'all don't serve only Killeen. You used to have a much broader mission than that, but thought many of you might be interested. So you can go down to the individual campus and see how 8th graders in Killeen do over those 11 years. Talk some about transfer. Transfer is incredibly important. But this is how transfer works for most students in Texas. This is the 2018 cohort of students that showed up as first-time students at all community colleges in the state of Texas in all academic programs, 114, almost 115,000. When we ask them, this is self-reported data, when we ask them, do you intend to transfer, only 28,000 said yes. The academic associate's degrees are not meant to be terminal. They're meant to transfer. So that makes me wonder, do we have 86,000 students in the wrong place? Now, it's self-reported. There may be something to that. But the bigger deal is only 26,000 actually transferred, which makes me think that 28,000 may not be wrong. So what's going on there? And then within 6 years, only 14,000 had actually earned a bachelor's degree. Folks, that's 12.4%. So this is all the work that's being done, all the good work y'all are doing, all the work that's being done across the state, students showing up, knowing higher education is important, and this is the result. And we've got to get better at that. We've got to get more than 12.4% of those students through a bachelor's degree, and then again, it's really important to do it within those 6 years. We all know heroic adults who do it later in their lives, but at the population level, if we don't get it done by then, the chances drop a lot. Why is that important? for a number of reasons. But this is wage data. So the single largest degree program that students enroll in the state of Texas is the General Studies Liberal Arts Associates. It's the Transfer Associates. 350,000 students in the most recent data statewide are in that one single degree program. There is no reason to be in that degree program unless you intend to transfer and complete a baccalaureate. This is how wages work out if you complete the General Studies Liberal Arts Associates and do not transfer and complete a baccalaureate. This is out of the Post-Secondary Employment Explorer tool, again, online. This is a coordinating board project in partnership with the U.S. Census and 40 other states. We have more than 20 years of data, Texas data available. All Texas community colleges participate, all Texas universities participate. You can select by cohort groups. You can drill down and look at individual degree programs. And so I've selected 3. These are all 3 associate degree programs. So on your left is the General Studies Liberal Arts Associates. In the middle is all health professions, not just nursing. This is where I'll come back to Dr. Eflant's comment. And then the construction trades. And what you see is first-year wages, 5-year wages, and 10-year wages. First-year wages for a General Studies Liberal Arts Associates degree earner who does not transfer and complete, $33,000. First-year wages for all health associates, $64,000. Same thing for construction trades. By year 10, those are up in the 80s and in the 90s. By year 10, the General Studies Liberal Arts Associate's degree completer barely edges out first-year wages for the other 2. Now, it's not all about wages. There are other really important things about life and education, but at the end of the day, I think everybody that probably comes through your classrooms and your institution wants a job. And the single largest, who's the single largest employer by sector statewide? Healthcare. So that factors into the next slide. So we've got healthcare jobs, we've got a health professional workforce shortage, physicians, yes, nurses, yes. Every technical field in healthcare, we have shortages. Some that require associate's degrees, some that require 1-semester certificates. So we'll come back to that in a second. And then construction trades, of course, with infrastructure growing. Not everybody wants to be a welder or a tradesman, but you could put paralegal up there, advanced manufacturing up there, process technology up there, and the wage picture is the same. You guys can go use the tool and do the analysis yourself. The tool also lets you follow students through a flow, a geographic flow and an industry sector flow. So this is all the students that finish that General Studies Liberal Arts Associate's degree. Most of them stay in Texas, and maybe not, well, maybe surprisingly, for those that don't complete a baccalaureate, the number one industry they map to is healthcare. But they're not prepared for the high demand, high wage jobs in healthcare. The number 3, by the way, is retail. So a student shows up, knowing higher education is important, put in not 2 years, it's more like 4 or 5 years to earn an associate's degree in Texas. And do they really think they were going to be working retail? Now, I want to be clear. We all interact with people that do retail work every day. We appreciate them. They provide a really important service and role, and I hope we treat them with the respect that's due someone that works really hard every day in that role. But is that what their higher education aspirations were? So we've got all these students that end up in healthcare, but they're not prepared for those high demand, high wage jobs, the shortages that the General mentioned earlier. They're doing retail kind of counter work, customer service work. So how about, if that's where they're going to end up anyway, we help them navigate towards one of those high demand credentials that also has high wages and access that middle set of bars as opposed to the bars on the left. A lot of advisors were mentioned earlier, career advisors, academic advisors. We've got this tool called My Texas Future. It's available online. It's free. You can start using it as early as middle school. It's a different user experience for adults, but it's the same data. Again, empowered by our Trades Data Partnership. You can start with answering just a few questions about your interests, and then you get careers aligned to those interests, and then credentials. then certificates and degrees that are necessary to access those careers. Who offers a certificate or degree, what it would cost, what's the average debt, and importantly, what's the demand, what's the growth, and what are the wages. So it's not that we don't have information. I think we have a bit of a hearts and minds issue. We need to empower advisors with the tools that we've developed. We need to start having conversations with students about what are you interested in? What's best for you at this moment in time? How long do you want to be in school? Again, most bachelor's degrees aren't 4 years, most associate's degrees aren't 2. How much debt do you want to take on? And importantly, what do you want to do? Start there, not do you want to go to a 2-year or a 4-year, not do you want to be this major or that, but what do you want to do? And then let's help students navigate with respect towards careers that have meaning and purpose and which will be rewarding to them, what's best for them at that moment in time, as opposed to us defaulting students into these dominant pathways where the enrollment patterns are clear. This is the thing I spend the most time thinking about. So Dr. Rhodes mentioned I spent the previous 9 years in rural East Texas before moving to this job about 19 months ago. Very focused on the issues of rural East Texas, which are the issues of rural Texas, really health professions, work shortages everywhere. We had entire counties without primary care, entire counties without EMS. That's one of the reasons I went back to get my EMT certification in my 50s. So when you call, some of those counties, you call an ambulance, and it's 45 minutes if you're lucky before someone arrives, if there's not a trained first responder available to step in on a volunteer basis or otherwise. I'm born here, moved to East Texas when I was 3 because my dad was a teacher, went to school East Texas the whole time. 18, start Killer College, in the summer after I finished high school, and my transfer hours were all accumulated over 2 summers. I ended up getting an associate degree by reverse transfer from Killer College. But when I got back, almost 30 years to the day, August, 86 to 16, started talking to families and students, kids are being told the same thing I was told in 1986. There's nothing here for you, and you've got to leave to succeed. So what we did, I was at a foundation covering this area, the state of South Carolina. We did our own labor market analysis because there wasn't any one organization that could do it. And what we found was, the labor market's very different in Texarkana, very different in Lufkin, Nacogdoches, very different in Beaumont, Port Arthur area. But there were thousands of good jobs in rural East Texas. 700 nursing shortages in the Beaumont, Port Arthur, Jasper, Newton area alone. The school districts were working with colleges and universities on dual credit, but most of it was academic dual credit. And so the family I worked for, the Temple family, they were a manufacturing family. They had a timber business that went from a southern sawmill to a Fortune 300 company. They believed in jobs. They believed in families. They believed in communities, and they understood what hard work was like. And so we started thinking through the lens of jobs. And if we want a thriving, mission was to have a thriving rural East Texas. If we want a thriving rural East Texas, that means children, youth, and their families have to thrive. And jobs are central to that. We didn't use the phrase brain drain because there are a lot of really smart kids left in our communities. So we have they're 100% of the talent. Again, I've already said that a time or two. Started thinking about, okay, so we need a baccalaureate transfer pathway because we need more teachers and doctors and scientists and engineers, bachelor's prepared nurses. We need to do that. So there needs to be a baccalaureate transfer pathway. We need to do better there. But how about we pick 3 or 4 jobs that require education and training beyond high school, but maybe not even an associate's degree, including not a bachelor's degree. Let's orient education and training in our schools to that. So we started this right before the pandemic, the first set of school districts that we worked with, and they were all small rural school districts. So we had to pull 5 districts together to share resources and to pull in a higher ed partner so there were enough students for them to focus on something other than episodic random academic classes. The semester we made this change just in one of those districts, going from the spring semester to the fall semester, when we started talking about jobs and jobs that people in the region understood because they knew they were the most in-demand jobs in the communities. 40 students at the largest district, 40 students taking academic dual credit in the spring, 200 students taking academic dual credit in the fall through the lens of jobs. Parents and students, again pre-pandemic, lined up around the building and waited 2 hours to sign up to take classes that led to a job in their region. Everything high demand, middle income wages are higher, which in rural East Texas is not quite what it is in Austin. Parents and students understand higher education is necessary for their future. We need to see higher education as not just the baccalaureate degree, but the nine-hour certificate, the level 2 certificate, the Associate of Applied Science, and baccalaureates. And this wage picture plays out. This plays out. The data is very stable. It doesn't matter which region you look at. It doesn't matter which age cohort you look at over the last 20 years. This is stable. These are patterns. These are trends. These are our default beliefs in practice. Our jurists and shown, those of you that have studied organizational leadership, or jurists and shown, that we have these things we talk about and these things that we do, and most of the time they don't match. So we talk about workforce. That's not actually the dominant pathways that we see for students. By the way, I believe all bachelor's degrees are workforce credentials too. Again, on a university campus for a number of years, still taught, even after I left the university full-time. I don't remember a single substantive conversation I had with a student about their future that didn't involve a job. So looking ahead, that's all kind of where we've been, the trends, challenges and opportunities that we've been confronting as a state, not just state issues, national issues, and then how we go forward. It is budget season. We've submitted our legislative appropriation request. Of course, like everyone else in state government, we were asked to submit a budget request that reflects a 3% reduction over the current biennium. 95% of our funding passes through to students and institutions, so there's no way for us to take 3% out of our funding without touching financial aid. Our approach, though, was to minimize cuts to our state need-based aid program. So we underweighted those cuts, overweighted administrative cuts, and we were already going to, our single exceptional item request was going to be for financial aid. Last year, the state put an additional $320 million into state need-based aid. The Texas grant alone is like $1.2 billion in funding. Our request this year is to, again, pursue 70% of eligible students for our state need-based aid programs. It'll be another $226 million. We had to propose some cuts in our submitted budget. We're asking for that back. But the three big need-based aid programs, it'll be an additional $171 million. We want to maintain the Texas Armed Services Scholarship Program. So we have this program statewide where members of the House, members of the Senate, the Speaker, the Lieutenant Governor, the Governor get to appoint students, much like the academies do. So it's a $30,000 scholarship per year. The students that are appointed must be accepted, must be participating in an officer commissioning program, which does include the Guard. It includes the Marine Corps' platoon leaders class commissioning program and ROTC. But that is, we grew the cohort size, and we've increased the dollar amount last year. So that request is to maintain cohort size and the award. And then the Texas Leadership Scholars, Texas Leadership Research Scholars programs aimed at underserved students that are high achieving. And so we want to maintain the cohort size there. Last session, additionally, the legislature passed two really important policy items related to financial aid. The governor signed the bills on those. The Appropriations Act, which now guarantees aid for transfer students. So previously, if you were a community college student transferring to a university, you were eligible for, if you were on to EOG, you were eligible for a Texas grant, but only about 4% of the students that were eligible received that because transfer admissions usually happen later, so the dollars were already expended. Now they're guaranteed, they're treated as a renewal for Texas grant, and then also we now can guarantee aid to students who are eligible and in the top 25% of their class. So predictability and portability, two important policy items in financial aid. The portability one I'd been working on for almost 2 decades. So I showed up at the right time, the right place to advocate that and see it pass. Our two big policy opportunities that came out of the 89th session, we were directed to bring together two different groups to look at proposals for the 90th session. So one was on performance-based funding for universities. That was a 21-member executive committee. The members were appointed by chancellors. So the Texas A&M University system was represented by 5 representatives on that committee, and then also the president of Texas Southern University got to appoint members. So the systems and Texas Southern as the independent institution in the state with its own governing board had an appointment as well. So that committee has met. Their report was due by August 1st. I'll come back to that in a second. And then the General Education Curriculum Advisory Committee came out of Senate Bill 37. We were asked to consider methods to reduce the number of courses in the core and to ensure workforce readiness for students that complete the core and the core's role there. The General Education Curriculum Advisory Committee has been working since October. Their report's not due till December, but it will go to our board in October. We're working through the recommendation and writing process now. Couple things about the core. Texas has the largest core in the country, 42 hours. There are, those of you that do advising, there are 4,000, almost 4,000 unique classes in the core. We have a 6-hour requirement in communication. There are 397 unique classes statewide that satisfy the core. Now the core is not, what we're doing here is not only about transfer, but 8 of the 9 classes, 8 of the top 9 classes that transfer but aren't used on a degree plan, they don't count towards degree requirements, 8 of the top 9 are core classes. It's too big. There's too many niche choices, and it's not always clear when a student starts out which class does that university and that degree program want to satisfy that component. So, for example, if you're going to be a business major at any university in the state, your social science needs to be economics. You're nodding your head. We've known this for a long time. Not psychology. What's the number 1 class that students take to satisfy the behavioral science elective? Psychology. So, advising matters. Not just taking random classes matters. Same thing with if you're going to be a engineering major or in any of the sciences at any public university in the state, your first credit-bearing math class should be calculus, pre-calculus, not algebra. And now, some students aren't calculus ready, but if you're not calculus ready when you hit your freshman year, your chances of being an engineer or a scientist drop a lot. Are we telling students that? Not that we want to take their dreams away, but here's what it takes to be a scientist and engineer. You're going to probably have to take calculus and physics in the same semester. You're certainly going to have to take them in the same year, because you can't take calculus 1, calculus 2, and then physics, because then your sequence is off and your time to degree is off. And so implications there for public schools and students taking calculus in high school and being calculus ready. But if you're not calculus ready, you're not science or engineering ready. You can be college ready. So we've got to think more about the role the core plays, the way those gateway classes, gatekeeper classes, the role they play. And it's more than just math, and it's more than just reading and writing. It's what math, what science do you need for that major? So committee's doing that work, 14 members that represent the 2-year, 4-year institutions in the state, recommendations coming to our board in October, going to the legislature in December. And we will be making recommendations to reduce the core, to streamline it, and to also think about what those, what we used to call component areas, what we currently call component areas, what they're about, and think more about knowledge and skills. So what should every student that finishes an associate's degree, associate of arts or science, the academic associates, or a bachelor's degree, what should they know and be able to do because they've had that curricular experience? And then also bring in some coherence to the classes. So if I'm able to be convincing, we won't have 397 classes that satisfy a 2-class requirement. Few design principles. I'll just say general education must be general. General education by definition should be general. Our current core is very niche and very exploration oriented instead of foundational. And so we're moving towards foundational. Students should be at the center. Transfer means transfer and apply. Some of the things I've already talked about. The performance-based funding for universities. This again, another direction that we got out of the 89th legislative session. This came out of the General Appropriations Act. We implemented performance-based funding, outcomes funding for colleges in 88th session. In the 89th session, we're asked to look at it for universities. In the 90th session, we'll have recommendations. Unlike the community college model, where 95% of state funding is conditioned upon outcomes, there are a number of formulas that fund universities. This will not replace all of those other formulas. It will be a component of university funding. One of the things we had to think about was institutional enhancement funding, which varies on a per student basis from $50 a student to $5,000 a student. It is not formulaic. It is kind of special items that have been added over time. So we've got to think about a way, the legislature would like to replace institutional enhancement funding. So how do you do that over time is what the recommendations address. And then there are two different areas that we're thinking about performance metrics, outcomes metrics, one on overall attainment and one on progression metrics. Again, different universities have different missions and play different roles. And there are also student weights that address mission. So if you serve a lot of students that are underprepared, a lot of students that are economically disadvantaged, or students that are adults, or maybe students that have stopped out, we're acknowledging that stop out, some credit, no credential population is really important in Texas higher education. There's a student weight for that. 60% on overall credential of value attainment. So again, that's a credential with ROI. At 10 years right now, you can go to that PSEO Explorer tool and look at Texas baccalaureates. All Texas bachelor's degrees are credentials of value. And I'll say this as a dad of a liberal arts student, even the liberal arts. Okay, so you can look to see how liberal arts majors do against other majors using that PSEO tool. So bachelor's degrees, at that 10-year point, the costs and the value return to the student, exceeds, again, I'll say, the $26,000 comparison to someone who earns no more than a high school diploma. It's not the highest bar, but it is a bar, and it's a bar that most states aren't using. So how we think about value for the student, workforce demand, employers and their need for particular skill sets, a lot of other things that go into this, but baseline, all Texas undergraduate degrees are credentials of value with ROI to the student. There's also progression and persistence metrics, so 30, 60, 90 hours, fall retention, degree efficiency is a part of this as well. So the number of excess hours that a student has will be something that goes in increments. So the fewer excess hours over the degree the student has, the more funding the institution will be eligible for. Importantly, and this is where your unique mission comes in, transfer students are baked into this model. So it is an intentional student population we included. So this is a model we think that works for the flagships, it works for Texas A&M Central Texas, it works for UT Permian Basin, and it recognizes that different institutions serve different populations, have different missions, but it's focused on outcomes overall. That full report is available online at that QR code, or you can Google the title, THECB and University Performance-Based Funding, and you'll find that report, an executive summary as well as the full report and the recommendations. Often people will say, well, how much money is going to be available through this? Well, that's a question for the legislature. So what we've done is we built a model, developed the recommendations in partnership with that 21-member committee, and then the legislature will, through the appropriations process, arrive at a dollar amount to put through the formula, but it is scalable. And it's also rate-based, which means that it's a continuous improvement model. So based on your baseline data and how you do year on year, if you improve, your funding should increase because of the rates. So it's not static. It is not as dynamic as the community college model. It will be based on a kind of a some certain appropriation. It won't be updated as frequently in terms of the data that's used to deliver the funding. So some differences, but the key is value to the students, focus on high-demand fields, and outcomes for students and institutions. So that gets me to the end of my planned remarks. I think after a few minutes, Dr. Rhodes at the end, I'm happy to take, if anybody wants to come up and ask questions. I know we're at time, but if there are things you're curious about, you want to know more about, I'm happy to visit individually, answer any questions. I'm going to be on the campus a little bit longer, and I'm looking forward to that. But hopefully, again, your unique mission, your capabilities, your location, you see some of what you're doing, the things that you're focused on, and where we are as a state, where we need to go as a state. The transfer work that you do is critically important. The work you do with students who have accumulated credit from multiple institutions. It's hard, I know. I've been the advisor that sits down with 5 transcripts and tries to figure out how we make the most out of a baccalaureate experience for a student. Really interesting when they've been on the quarter system, by the way. Maybe some of you have dealt with that. So the work that you do is really important. It's a lot of fun to be here, to hear all the good stuff that you're doing, to be back in this place that I identify as home, and to spend time with Dr. Rhodes. And again, appreciate the work that you're doing, and I hope you have a great fall, spring semester. And if there are things that we can do, call Dr. Griggs.
Again, join me in thanking Wynn. That you got the most up to date about what we can begin to expect in the next legislative session that we're gearing up to. And yes, we've been asked to also submit a budget with a 3% reduction going into the next session. So all of higher education has been asked to do that, and state agencies. So let me. You want to go to the next one? Okay. So you've got, every year for the last 3 years, we've done a new challenge coin. This is the new challenge coin for this year. It is given out to all of our graduates. It's given out to all of you. And so you will receive that today. And it is Carry the Torch. And how fitting to have the Torch Award, too. The other I want to mention is the Momentum, the second magazine that we have had as an institution. And thank you, Dr. Close. Extraordinary job. This one has focused on AI from different perspectives, whether we talk about faculty or support or industry, but it's all taking a look at what do different people think about AI and the future of AI. It's, it's well worth reading through. And I know that we've got a drawing. So Corinne, will you come forward and name who the winner is?
Dr. Rhodes. Okay, everybody, got your tickets, right? I know who it is. I and only I know who it is. Ready? Y'all want to go eat lunch, right? Okay, so I'm sorry, women, but we did not have a woman win this time. Boo-hoo, it's a salon. Like fate had to mess that up. All right, gentlemen. Here is Dr. Jeff Kirk. I would just like to say, without belaboring the point, that it's especially appropriate that Dr. Kirk won this. A, he was one of our guest contributors in Momentum and wrote a very thoughtful piece that I encourage you to read, along with so many others from the site. But Dr. Kirk has been like the first person in the world who kept pestering me to try AI. For English teacher, it was like, get behind me, Satan. And I didn't want to have anything to do with it. like to read my editorial. It's called Chatting with Charlie. Dr. Burke, I owe you. However, I'm going to tell everybody, full disclosure, that had nothing to do with it. We had an HR rep present. We had, the provost office rep present. We stuck our little fingers into the bowl and pulled it out, and turns out fate's pretty good. So congratulations, Dr. Kirk. Here? Okay, well,
He's at the salon.
thanks everybody for reading Momentum. I hope you enjoy it. I'm loving your comments. President's report, which will come up.
And the president's report is timed so that we can give it to every elected official prior to the legislative session. So I want to show you a quick video clip and first give credit to Jeremiah and Demi for doing this. So, they did that at our last graduation, the summer graduation and the walkthrough. And you probably saw some of the kids in the background. But what you saw was pictures of the graduates as children. It seemed like a long time ago, but now they crossed the stage and they've achieved their dreams. I hope you recognize that's what you make possible. Each and every one of those is a result of what you have invested in them. And I just, as the president of this institution, I say thank you. We have a higher persistence rate than of our students to graduation, coming back semester after semester, than any of our peer colleges, any of our sister colleges. And that is a testament to what you do every single day. So welcome back for the kickoff of our new year of the fall semester, and I wish you the best, and God bless you.